Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a deeper review on the Dark Eldar Codex, and in that video I want to cover some of the special rules that we have here, and then I will go through the HQ, the different choices, and I will share with you what I consider the best choices and how I think is the best way to use them and what I think is the best options we have there on the HQ. In next videos I will review then the troops, fast attack, elites and heavy support, but in that video we'll focus mainly on the special rules from the Dark Eldar Codex and the HQs. Let's make a look first on the special rules. So the Codex have two main special rules. One is combat drags, that is affecting some of the units, and now, as I explained before in other videos, you throw 1d6 and then you have one of these special abilities for the rest of the battle. So you have +1 attack, +1 strength, +1 initiative, toughness, +1 weapon skill, and +1 leadership. No more, there is no more to mention here because you cannot choose what are the, to take or not the combat drags. So it comes with some of the units and some of the characters, and then it's given, so you cannot do any choice there. Then we have the power from pain. This affecting almost all of the units all the units that have power from pain special rule. And now how it's working is that on turn 0 you don't have any effect, turn 2 you have feel no pain on 6s, turn 3 you have feel no pain, 4 feel no pain plus further charge, then you add fearless, and then you add rage. What is important here is we have some objects and we have some abilities, especially from the Ammonkulose, that can boost this. For example, you can be in turn 1 and then you have the benefit of turn 2, or you can have +2, so you will have the benefit of +3, because these benefits can be cumulative. Okay, and then we have the Warlord traits. Warlord trait is fear at 12 inches of the Warlord. Dark Eldar can reroll seize initiative, night fighting rules, and reserve. Warlord has rage, Warlord has hatred, +1 weapon skill, and the Warlord and all the friend units on the Dark Eldar have fearless. What I see from here is, for me, the most important ones are, maybe the most interesting can be the 2. I think the 1 is very weak, causing fear in most of the cases is nothing, because we have most of the half of the armies today in Warhammer 40k are immune to fear. Rage is good, hatred is quite good, +1 weapon skill in most of the cases is useless, because it will not give any benefit, especially if you're taking the Archon or the Ammonkulose, most of the times will not give any extra benefit. And the fearless can be good, but we also have to take into account that all our units are going to be fearless in turn 5. So it's good because you have to wait a lot in the table from the power of pain. What I think is, I think the basic book have better Warlord traits than the Dark Eldar. So I'm not sure, especially if you pay milestone missions, I think you prefer to use the ones from the basic rulebook, and in some cases the basic rulebook have better choices depending on how you want to work with your Warlord. I think these are very oriented if you want to have a strong Warlord that is going to fight in close combat. If you're not looking for that, most of the abilities here are useless, so I will recommend then you to go to the basic Warlord traits in the rulebook. Now let's start review the HQs, and I have to say here that I haven't. This is my first review, and I haven't tested them in the real battle. But this is my feeling after the first review, and I went in depth in the different equipment and how I will do the list if I'm making a Dark Eldar list. I played a lot in the previous codex, so I know some of the weaknesses and some of the strength of the Dark Eldar, and here what I want to share with you is what is my feeling and how I will use them on the battlefield. Then let's start with the Archon. First thing on the Archon, you still have the shadow field, and you still can have, so you can have the Archon equipped in different ways. Here I think you can have a combat Archon with Agonizer, Shadow Field, and then I would recommend to have the Webway Portal, the Highway Grenades, and of course then if you use the Webway Portal and equipped like that, I will put him in a close combat unit. And I think the best in that case are the Incubis. So what is the weakest point of the Archon equipped in close combat? And all the equipment I say is the Warlord will cost 165 points if you put all this equipment. The Webway I think is going to be one of the key equipment for all the HQs. It's giving you deep strike without scatter, what is driving to a very nice opportunities and very good strategic choices. So in that case, how I think this should work is goes into a close combat unit. Especially I will prefer Incubis, because you will not have AP3, you will have AP3 with your Archon, so you will need someone in case there is AP2 armor that you want to kill. So you use the Incubis to kill the AP2 people, and then you can use the Shadow Field from the Archon to cover your Incubis. So indeed, he is not going to kill, he's there to protect the Incubis from and give some invulnerable save on 2+ against your enemies. I will think that it's better to go in a vehicle, because at least you will absorb some shooting with your vehicle before they can start shooting your unit, because you will need to deploy quite close to the enemy to be able to assault in the next turn. The other thing I think you can play the Archon is as a very cheap one, so you can put him just a blaster. He can take now a blaster and put inside of a Trueborn unit, and on a vehicle if you want of the Trueborn unit, and just use him as a very cheap Archon. Keep him in quite safe out of the close combat on the hardest part of the battle, and just try to use the minimum points to not put a lot of points on the HQs. Other way to use is the same equipment as I said before, plus the web portal. So the configuration before, just Archon with blaster is 75 points. If you add the webway portal, then it's costing 110 points. And then you can use here a very shooty unit. You can use a Trueborn in a vehicle, you can use fired wagons, or you can use Wraith Guard. And then you deploy where you can do the most damage to your enemies. Even I think you can use with Warp Spiders. It's going to be very strong to deploy this guy at the backward of your enemy and have a storm of shooting to one of the units at the back. You can easily destroy a Centurion, or you can go for the Warlord of your enemy and shoot it to death. I think if you are using the Webway portal, it's giving a lot of opportunities, and then you appear, you shoot, and you kill almost everything. So this is the unit that you want to target. It's like an assassination mission, and then later on the enemy, I guess, will focus all the fire on this unit and it will be killed. But so here the key will be how to choose a good objectives. So it's similar what people is doing with the drop pods, but instead of using a drop pod, you use the web portal with this guy and a big shooting unit. To say on the Archon, you can go for a quite expensive 165 with Agonizer, Shadow Blade, Web Portal, Highway Grenades, and all the things that you want. You can add Blaster, but I don't think it's necessary if you go to close combat. And then you can go for cheap version that is only with Blaster or Blaster plus Webway. I think this is one of the best choices. Put him in a shooting unit. Then you can also add the Shadow Field in that case, and you protect the unit from the shooting of your enemy. So the enemy first have to overcome the 2+ invulnerable save before start causing casualties on the target unit. We find on the on the HQ is the Court of the Archon. Here, I'm not sure how to use this. I think the Medusae are quite good. They cost 25 points, but the weapon is quite strong. It's a flamer of AP3 that can be quite strong there. I think this is one of the best choices. Then you have the Sealth, but it's costing, I think it's costing 25 points. It's a little bit too much. If you use a good combination, you can give toughness 5 to all the units, but this means that they have to be the majority. So you will need more steel than any of the other. The Lamean is very cheap, but only one attack, even though it's Podium 2+, only one attack is very little. I don't think if he can have... Yeah, he have a Splinter, and yeah, he will have 2 attacks. +1, yeah, it's not that bad. 10 points, 2 attacks of... Poison 2+. You can, I think here you can do you can do in 2 ways. You can do a shooting one with the toughness 5 and then use the Medusae as a flamer, or you can go to close combat and use the especially against people with high toughness and low armor, and then you use the Lamean and you can use some Urgul, but I think the Lamean plus having some steels are going to be the best choice. Next one is the Succubus. I think the Succubus, the best option is to equip her for close combat. I don't see why you are going to go for cheap Succubus. If you want to go for cheap HQ, the Archon or the Ammonkulose will do better role than the Succubus. If you take the Succubus, it's because you want to go to close combat and take the maximum benefit of this one. Then if you go to close combat, I think the best way is to have the Archid Glaive, the Web by Portal and Highway Grenades, and you put her inside of a unit that is specialized in close combat. You can put her inside of a unit of Incubus or a unit of Witches, although the Witches now are not that strong. The advantage is he will have the Plasma Grenades, so if he's not losing the initiative. It's very important that she's keeping the initiative 8 to be able to hit before the enemies, because his saves and his resistance is not very high. He has 4+ invulnerable save and only toughness 3, so there are a lot of weapons that can instant kill her, and you have to avoid shooting to her always. So because he will die very fast in a shooting. So you need to put her in instead of another unit to protect her from the shooting. So it's very strong. It's very strong attacking, but it's very weak resisting enemy attacks. So we have Lelith Hesperax. She's a killing machine in close combat. Have a good protection, 4+ invulnerable save, 3+ invulnerable save in close combat. Have some rules, and he's ignoring armor, so it's even better than AP2. He's ignoring any armor of the enemy. Of course, all these witches have combat drags. The point here is she have weapon skill 9, and the Warlord trait she has is the one that is given +1 weapon skill, so she's going to be weapon skill 10 if she is the Warlord. Not needed, because when you are 9, you are it's very important to have 9, because you will be impacted by most of the enemy units in 5+, because most of the combat units have have ability 4 in weapon skill. And this is one of the things that maybe is interesting. I think is the only moment that the Succubus, I think, are the only ones that benefit from the +1 weapon skill, because this will make the enemies to hit her on 5+, making more difficult for the enemies to kill the Succubus. In the case of Lelith Hesperax, is not adding a lot this Warlord trait. On top, if you on the combat drag you have +1 weapon skill, you cannot be over 10, so okay, you will have ability 10 and that's all. She is not very expensive, 150 points, but I think one of the weak points, you cannot take a web-way portal with her. And I think in the new way to play in Dark Eldar is going to be 2 or 3 web-way portals, and be able to deploy 2-3 key units at the enemy field without scattering, and be able to do the damage when you appear. So she needs to run, or she needs to go into a vehicle and cross the battlefield and engage the enemies. But I think it's quite a good choice. It's have a good save, and also it's very killing in close combat. Weapon skill 9, 5 attacks, and is repeating in how it's called this, in the challenge. She's repeating to hit and to wound, and you can take the impaler and then will repeat the ones to wound in any combat. So it's still a strong woman, but I think sometimes you will prefer the standard succubus. The next one in the list is the Ammonkulose. I think the Ammonkulose are made to support your army. So he's there to give extra bonus on the how it's called, the power from pain. So this meaning that you add +1 to the table when you look the effect, so in the unit that the Ammonkulose is in. So I see Ammonkulose most likely to be just very basic, maybe only with the X rifle, 80 points with the X rifle to have some shooting and put him into another unit. If you want to equip them with close combat, the main problem he has not armor, so maybe you want to use the armor of misery that is giving 4+ and 6+ invulnerable, and add him and give him the agonizer. In the case will cost 110 points, and he's going to be quite good, but it's not going to be the killing machine that the other HQs are. I think it's more here to try to boost your army. Next HQ is another special character. This time is Odin Rakhar. It's 140 points. He's very good in boosting your enemy because he's giving the ability of the Ammonkulose, but instead of only giving the ability to the unit he's in, is giving this ability to 12 inches from him. So if you can combine this with other abilities, similar abilities, you can boost your army to have the feel no pain from the beginning of the battle. At least the 6+ feel no pain from the beginning of the battle, and then so on you can add more. He has toughness 5, so it's quite resistant. It will not die, so it's quite difficult to instant kill him. You need a weapon of strength 10. Not a lot of weapons like that. Has feel no pain on 4+. It's quite resilient, but it's not immortal. And I think it's playing 2 roles. I think it's going to be a still quite solid choice. It's playing 2 roles. It's quite good in close combat, and it's going to be still quite. And it's going to be quite good boosting your army and giving extra abilities. On top of that, he has a shooting weapon that is strength 3, AP 3, assault 2d6. Is only one use, but it's also quite a strong shooting because it can cause some big damage. Normally this range of weapons I'll shoot 1 or 2 in any occasion. So it's a strong guy, and a guy to take into account. Also have the clone field, so it means I have the 4+ invulnerable save. This is a little bit overlapping with the, so you will have 4+ in clone field and then 4+ feel no pain, so it's going to make him quite difficult to kill because he will save 25% of the wounds caused to him. The main problem I see on him is he has not low AP in close combat. He has the Ichor injector, is flesh vein and can instant kill, but is not have not any AP, so he will have difficulties against enemies with very good armor. But I think it's quite a good choice, although it's costing 140 points. The last one is Dvadzar. Dvadzar is going to be another beast in close combat, very strong, have a 2+ armor that is also very strong. The only weak point is that he don't have any invulnerable save, so you have to be careful with the shooting that is AP2, AP1, or even with weapons that are AP2. Most of the times he will be able to kill any character, and only the special characters with multiple wounds can survive to him, I think. So he have also 4 attacks. He can use the demi-class, and then it means that it's 4 attacks at AP2 and strength 5, or you can use 5 attacks at AP3 and strength 4. He have also Rampage. He is he have Eternal Warrior, Fearless, Fleet, Independent character, Night Vision, Power from the Pain and Rampage. So it's quite a strong guy, but he will need some protection from others. The main drawback for me from all the special characters is that they cannot take the Web-Way Portal, and I think the Web-Way Portal will give a lot to this army. You can deploy especially the Archon. I think the Archon and the Succubus, depending if you want to go close combat or you want just to give the Web-Way Portal, they are made just to deep strike with a unit and then start making damage at the backward of your enemy. If you're using these tactics, I recommend always to have another HQ at your backward, very cheap one. Maybe you can use a Ammonkulose. I don't know if you can use a Ammonkulose. No, if you have an Archon, you need an Archon at the back because they have highest leadership, so you can use a very cheap Archon, just 60 points, maybe if you want to the blast, and 75 points to keep it at your backward, and then use another one to deep strike, and you can use double organization chart if you want to have multiple deep strikes. So this is how I see now the new HQs, and the next I will do what I want to do in the next video are the Cavalry Warriors and the Witches that are the troops. So this is for next. Let's go back. I think this is the... Thanks a lot for watching this video, and see you again later. Bye.